Hello everyone, I am Chandraprakash Joshi. Very welcome to Exam B. We are following this 300 very important question for RBI Grade B 23, and this is part 3 of the video. I am really glad to see that you people are participating. This is the question I asked you last time, 20th question, and please participate. This is very important. The question was in terms of the per capita income, so which is calculated for NVA. So, which of the currently 2021-22 as per this data per capita NVA for rural and urban areas was? So, this is the recent data, right? So, the base year is this. So, the data says, and you have answered it correctly, and this I have taken from BPDA. As I told last time also that it is not only about these 300 questions which are going to come in the exam, but in preparation of these 300 questions, you are going to prepare some 3000 questions. More importantly, you know how to prepare, because even 3000 questions are not enough for clearing RBI Grade B, right? So that is important point. So this is from BPDA, and very clearly you can see here for rural it is 40,925 rupees and 98,435 rupees per annum per capita for the population, and this does not compile estimate of the average per capita income among the men and women, SC, ST, separately it is not there, right? So you have to continue to study BPDA. This is the correct answer. Now you tell me, or you can pause the video, when a country's import exceeds its export during the given period of time, what it is called? It's a very simple question, fundamental based question, basics of economics or basics of finance, but it's basically economics mostly. You must be studying this in newspaper also. So these kind of fundamentals are must. Pause the video, but don't get confused. So these kind of fundamentals, so this is trade deficit, right? So this is not not the revenue deficit, which I have covered separately, and fiscal deficit, again, which I have covered in the last video. Income deficit, this is the term I actually coined. Export deficit, nothing. Trade deficit, and trade deficit is always measured in rupee value or in dollar value. You see here when you download BPDA, April BPDA is this. In these kind of learn along topics, India's trade deficit widens to 19 billion. Export rose 6% to 447 billion. So export is 447 billion, but import is higher. Against the India's import grew 16% to 714 billion. So you can understand that export is lesser than import. This is called trade deficit. Very clearly here it is mentioned. Next question. To provide much needed boost to the Indian startup ecosystem and enable access to the domestic capital, the Fund of Fund Startup scheme was approved and established in 2016 with a corpus of 10,000 crore with contribution spread across 14th and 15th Finance Commission. Which organization manages the fund for startup? It looks logical if you know something about the startup ecosystem in India. But don't get confused why such names, Startup India, etc. So SIDBI has been actually a pioneer institution. So that is where the fundamental knowledge helps. Many of you can actually easily eliminate options like this, SEBI, what they have to do specifically with the startup. So India Accelerator Fund, even if it is a fund, though I just coined this, you can easily eliminate. So there may be some concern about Startup India, but what is Startup India? So Startup India is a campaign, right? So here we are talking about managing 10,000 crore rupees of the fund. Who among the established institution has that kind of credibility, experience? If you know about SIDBI, sometimes people get confused about headquarter of SIDBI. This is a question asked in the exam. These learn along are useful in that. Are you still not studying BPDA? Which of the following statement regarding small finance bank is not true? Small finance bank, how they are different from other commercial bank? Okay, they are governed by the banking regulation, BR Act of 1949. Correct hai? are the financial institutions which provide financial services to the unserved and unbanked region of the country. This is the reason they got the license. Are required to maintain CRR and SLR. Do you think there is any exemption for these institutions for SLR and CRR? Are required to extend 50% of its ANBC's adjusted net bank credit to the sectors eligible for classification as priority sector. So do you know what is the priority sector lending requirement for other banks and what it is for a small finance bank? They cannot be a business correspondent to another bank. They themselves are bank. Why they shall be business correspondent? Here, I think this is easier one. This is 75%. Okay, 50% of the loan portfolio should constitute loan and advances up to 25 lakh rupees. But overall 75% shall be their priority sector lending. This you have to remember because they are doing a small ticket loan mainly in unserved area. All the act which are there for other banks like BR Act, RBI Act. So all these are applicable here also. FEMA, Payment and Settlement Act, Credit Information Companies Act, DICGC, all these statutes are also applicable here. They can have their own business correspondent network because they are a bank now. They are a small finance bank. It does not mean they are a small bank. I repeat it again and again. They are a small finance means 50% of the portfolio shall constitute a smaller loan up, smaller than 25 lakh rupees. So now you know this is your correct answer. This is a management question and these are the type of question you will feel in the exam. Management question. Muskan works in an MNC and one day she was caught breaking one of the rules of the company. As a punishment, her manager took away one of the privileges given to Muskan. In terms of the reinforcement theory, now you know this is the question. Reinforcement theory, how Muskan's manager responding to this incident. So these are the options. You pause it. So if you understand the reinforcement theory, I am directly taking you there, but you want to attempt yourself, you pause here and do this question. Reinforcement theory of motivation proposed by B.F. Skinner and his associate, it states that individual's behavior is a function of its consequences. 4 types of reinforcement. Positive reinforcement followed by a positive consequences. That is any effect that causes behavior to be repeated. So you say that you are going to get some reward. That is a positive reinforcement. Negative reinforcement is removing unpleasant consequences. See, this is not, negative is not giving actually punishment. Removing unpleasant consequences after desired behavior is achieved. If you don't follow something, you will be say put to the jail. Unpleasant consequences is removed. Punishment is if you do something wrong. Negative consequences for undesired behavior. Removing positive consequences followed by some undesirable behavior. So this punishment is not negative reinforcement. It is separate. Extinction, any effect that causes behavior to be inhibited. Any effect. Avoidance can be seen in the workplace when an employee exhibits the desired behavior in an effort to avoid the consequence, such as being criticized by one's supervisor. It's a kind of negative reinforcement, right? So you know, if I don't do this, my boss is going to shout at me. So to avoid that shouting, removing unpleasant consequence, you don't want to see your boss shouting on you, so you follow some kind of behavior. So in this case, Muskan's boss is using punishment in order to decrease the probability of repeated inappropriate behavior on Muskan's part. Here, punishment is removing the privilege. So that privilege may be some Sodexo coupon or maybe some extra leave or maybe some allowances, right? So this has been removed. So punishment is being given. Don't get confused with negative reinforcement here. Recently, it was in the news that government will set 16th Finance Commission in 23 to suggest center-state tax devolution beginning FY27, which is correct about tax devolution. So, this news is shared. These kind of paragraph-based questions are there in the exam. In fact, long paragraph. Then the question is asked on something fundamental which is not given in the paragraph. So, do you understand what is tax devolution? What is the job of Finance Commission? Do you know that? Think for a while. If you don't know, I am going to this. Again, BPDR download. Tax devolution is defined, is based on a formulaic transfer of resources. So, what is the work of the Finance Commission? To divide the tax collection among state and central government, right? So that is the job of the Finance Commission. So this tax devolution is the formula based principle, and here the principle is of need, equity and efficiency. In other words, the formula is progressive. States in needs of higher assistance receive a larger share of the fund. So it is not equal, it is not in terms of their income, their tax collections. Like existing formula is 42%, means state share is going to be 42% overall. The 15th Commission under NK Singh had kept the tax devolution ratio at 42%, the same suggested by 14th Commission, which was headed by Dr. Y.V. Reddy, ex-RBI Governor, and the tenure of Finance Commission is 5 years. So this is the correct one. States in need of higher assistance receive a larger share. Sometimes there is a lot of debate on this because some states wants to be poor so that they continue to receive higher assistance in this. So those who are doing well, those who are growing, they shall be incentivized. So these kind of discussions also you shall know, especially for your descriptive part. Which of the following can issue green bonds? As the name suggests. Sometimes you have to always correlate with the name. Then it will be easy for you to remember in the exam. So green bond, as the name suggests, is related to climate, saving the environment. Who can issue that kind of bonds? So again, I have taken this from BPDR. There was a news, REC raises 70-50 million by green bonds. REC Limited has raised this amount and this will be used in dash. But more important is understanding green bonds. Bonds issued by corporate, sovereign entity, intergovernmental organizations and MNCs whose proceeds are deployed towards environmentally sustainable projects. They have positive environment and climate benefits such as energy efficiency, renewable energy, clean transportation, sustainable water project, etc. So any entity can issue green bonds. What are ECB's external commercial borrowing? You read this. Again, don't forget to download BPDR. That is most crucial thing. Here the answer is E. Which of the following is statement about ECB? Because the next question is ECB. So had you read that, now you can answer that. ECB provides opportunity to borrow large volume of funds. So which is true, Funds are usually available for relatively long term. ECBs are generally in foreign currencies. So just think of, so who will go for external commercial borrowing and why? So as the name suggests, external commercial borrowing means borrowing outside India. External, right? And these are of course taken mostly by the large companies because a small company cannot go outside. Nobody will give them the loan and the cost of borrowing is also then not going to be easy. Though the interest rate is lesser in the international market. That is the reason companies go for ECBs. But a small company cannot raise loan from abroad, right? So is a loan availed by an Indian entity from a non-resident lender with a minimum average maturity. Most of these loans are provided by foreign commercial bank, buyer's credit, supplier credit, securitized instruments such as floating rate notes and fixed rate bond, etc. Advantage: opportunity to borrow large volume, available in relatively long term, interest rates are comparatively lower, in form of the foreign currency, because when the funds are coming from foreign, they are not going to give you INR. Rupee कहाँ से लेके आएंगे वो? So when you are borrowing from whether it is US or Europe or China or Japan or any other country, Mauritius, so you are going to get it in dollars, mostly in dollars. Corporate can raise ECB from internationally recognized sources such as banks, export credit agencies, international capital markets, etc. So there are many ways, but you have to understand what are ECBs. Most of the time questions have been asked on ECBs in RBI Grade B exam. All of them are correct. Which type of bond are a type of unsecured perpetual bond that banks issue to shore up their core capital base to meet the Basel III norm? Again, this has been in news again and again. Okay, these are called Tier 1 bond. Let me show you what is the news. HDFC Bank is planning to raise 50,000 crore rupees through Tier 1, Tier 2 and infrastructure bond. So these kind of news keep on floating. In fact, Tier 1 bond have also been in news because of the Yes Bank case in which RBI scrapped these bonds, and the matter is now in Supreme Court questioning even RBI's move. So these are short term. So additional Tier 1 bonds are type of unsecured perpetual bonds that banks use to shore up their capital base. So the correct word is actually additional Tier 1 bond, 81. But among the options, this seems to be the best one. So these kind of typing mistakes. So this is a typing mistake by me. So the correct option is actually additional Tier 1 bond. So it is called additional Tier 1 bond. But when you know this is not green bond, this is not sovereign bond, this is fiscal bond, कहाँ से आ गया? So this is going to be 81 only. So you have to click on that, right? So if you have understanding of 81 bonds, you can make it out. So these are helping in the increasing the capital base. So Tier 1 capital refers to the bank's core capital. So these are perpetual, means there is no end date of this bond. So you issue and every year you are going to get that interest. So these are very nearer to the equity. Like equity doesn't have any end date. No, you buy a share of a company, you invest money there. Is the company going to return you any day? No. Right? So, but there can be buyback, there can be other incentive, or maybe you can sell your share in the secondary market. In this 81 bonds, so the issuer, the bank in this case, has a lot of rights, including it can be scrapped. So it is closer to equity. Like equity money, you invested. You may get a dividend or you may not. But here, interest rate is fixed on these. Tier 2 bonds, these goes to the Tier 2 capital of the bond bank. These are debt instrument like loans. Infrastructure bond are simple to understand, infrastructure bond, but all these are explained in Wikipedia. The practice of making false, misleading claims about the green credentials of a company or a project is called. This is an interesting term. Simply, if you know the term, this term is greenwashing. So greenwashing, any project or any company's plans are actually made climate centric. So we discussed about green bonds, no? So some benefits are there making it greener. So that is called greenwashing, not anything else. I'm not explaining all rest of the terms, but you must know what is a window dressing, what is haircut. So these are important terms to know. Cost inflation is comparatively easier. Now this question you have to answer. Which country is India's second biggest trading partner? Not very difficult, but at the same time you can't guess it. You shall know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 important trading partner, because as the economy is getting more and more connected, importance of trade is increasing. Okay, answer this question, write in the comment. We will meet in the next video. Don't worry about your mistake. If you will try, You may make mistake, but then only you will learn and you will succeed. All the best for your preparation. Prepare 50% faster at exam B.